Hello everyone, I am Wendy with Winds of Change Ministries, and today I'm going to wrap up Genesis chapter 2. I've already gone into great detail about some of the scriptures or concepts within this chapter in previous videos, and so I'm just going to whip through many things. It's going to be kind of like an overview. Okay, so the chapter opens up with us seeing the sacred name for the first time, Yud-Heh-Wah-Heh. It means he exists, and its pictographs symbolize the spirit of a hand and the spirit of a nail. Spiritually speaking, the symbolic nature of these things, and it points reference from the very beginning in the Jewish scriptures. Okay, it shows us some clues of Christianity, right, where Jesus was nailed to the cross. So there's a lot of powerful symbolism in the sacred name. Okay, now after this, the chapter goes into the four rivers that are connected to Eden, which I pronounce with the reconstructed Paleo-Hebrew pronunciation of Aden. Okay, so all of these names are going to have their reconstructed Paleo-Hebrew pronunciation. All right, and the first river that is mentioned is Bishun. It means to enlarge. All right, and it talks about how it goes around Hahuila, which is the land that it goes around. Hahuila means circle, and that circle is the aura that is around us. Now remember that word land, the Adama, okay? Because God, he created Adam from the ground. I already discussed that Adam is linked to atoms, which is mass. We ourselves, we are ground. We are the earth, the ground, the land that Hahuila encircles. Okay, so to enlarge that circle around the land is to expand our aura or our consciousness. All right. Gihun means to break through or to burst forth, and it winds through the land of Cush. All right, and Cush, first of all, so Gihun means to break through or to burst forth, and Cush, which is the real land that winds through, not Ethiopia, okay, Cush, and it means black. Now, I already discussed that in the creation week, how when God divided the day from the night, Lila is night, and it means a winding staircase, okay? A winding staircase through darkness. So although the words are different, the notion, the concept is the same, that something is winding through darkness. All right, and this represents our spiritual journey as we are on our ascension journey, and we expand our consciousness. All right, and so Hideko means rapid, and it goes towards Ashur. Okay, and Ashur that means step, so rapid steps. Okay. And it means that once you break through and you have awareness, then things in your life will start moving very, very fast, okay? The next river is Parat, all right? And it isn't connected to a land at all. It is actually paradise itself. It means fruitful. So Parat, you will achieve your paradise, your fruitfulness, when you enlarge your consciousness, burst forth, break through, and also go through the steps. And so there is a lot of hidden psychology within the Bible. Okay? Um, and after the Bible talks about the rivers, it goes into detail about how Adam was created from the ground, which I already mentioned. We are the ground, okay? And then it talks about how he named all the animals, and he didn't have a helpmate of his own, and he was lonely. So God said, "Let us create a helpmate for him." Okay, and so God took one of the ribs and created Hachwa, who is Eve. And now here's the interesting thing about ribs. I watched this in a video years ago, several years back, that the rib is something that can actually grow back. And it is a source, the marrow in it is a good source for DNA, to get DNA. So if God was going to take DNA from any location, the rib was a great location. Anyway, I don't remember where that video is, but I do find it very interesting. Now, let's talk about what happened in the garden. Okay, so God told, before Eve even came on the picture, he told Adam that there was a tree in the garden that he was not supposed to touch or eat, and it is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he threatened, in that day that you touch or eat of it, you will surely die. Okay, so after God told Adam about the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and not to touch of it or eat of it, because in that day he would die, shortly after that, Eve comes on the scene, and she was approached by the serpent, and the serpent was curious why she wasn't allowed to eat of all the trees. And she says, well, we can eat of all the trees except for that one. And because if we do, then we will surely not die. That's not what she said. She used a diminutive form of the word die. All right. And so that means, like, for instance, in Hebrew, a diminutive form of something would be like if you have a spotlight and then you have a regular light. There's two differences, right? So what is less than dying? It's actually dying of yourself. And now most Bibles interpretations do not pick up on that form, that it is not dying. It's something different than dying, similar but different. And Jesus himself taught that we needed to die of ourselves. Okay? And so it's right there in Genesis. Now, here's the interesting thing. She did not say what God said. God said, in the day that you eat of it, you will surely die. But she changed it around. Okay? Whether it was a misunderstanding or whatever, her spoken words altered the course of reality, because Adam did not die in that day. In fact, God allowed him to continue to live on up until he was very close to 1,000 years old, which gives birth to the idea that a day is like 1,000 years for God. Okay? And so it was the influence, the hidden influence, whether it was a mistake on her part or not, it was still her influence that caused that change in reality. All right. So anyway, after she ate of the fruit, because he tempted her, saying, well, first of all, he says, he catches her on that, not die, you will pass on. See, she used a smaller form. And in my Bible, I use pass on, because we can pass on from one stage of life to another, right? In a way, it's kind of like a death, but not really. It's just you're passing on. You're crossing over. Okay? And so he says, not die, pass on. And then so he moves forward with this and said, because God knows that in the day that you eat of it, your eyes would be open and you would become like gods. Okay? And so, anyway, after this, God enters the Elohim. He enters the garden, and Adam and Eve, they had already realized that they were naked and they were ashamed. Okay, and so God approaches them, and then He asked them why they did it, and they said, Eve said, "Oh, the serpent beguiled me," and Adam said, "Oh, my wife beguiled me." Okay, so God, well, first, let me back up. He actually asked Adam first because Adam was, the head. Okay, he was the leader, and then he asked Eve because Adam said, "This woman you gave me, she beguiled me, she tricked me, and then, or influenced me," and then she said, "Well, the snake did it to me." So he worked his way down the line, and then when he handed out punishment, he started from the bottom and worked his way back up. So he told the snake, he said that as a punishment, that he would have to slither on his belly, and he explained that the seed of the snake would bite the heels of the seed of the woman, and the seed of the woman would step on the seed of the snake. Okay, so the descendants of the woman. So this is interesting. So it's the seed of the women. Okay. Anyway, would crush the head of the snake. All right. So after this, he moves on to reprimanding, correcting Eve, and he said, because of this, you are going to have pain and labor, and it's going to be sorrowful for you. And then a couple of days ago, there's a passage here where it says, "And you will have desire for your husband, and he will reign over you." That's what most Bibles say. Now, if you watched my video a couple of days ago, I talked about how that hasn't always been. Something has changed our reality, okay? Something has changed our reality. I used to debate right there. I went all the way back to Adam and Eve and how he told Adam that he had to love his wife, all right? And then she would submit, all right? So, anyway, not only... so I did some research on this, okay, because I know that I had an email argument with a guy one time, several years back, about this, and I was trying to find evidence, to say, hey, look, so I could show you, and so I went into my history on my email, going back to that time frame when I knew we had this conversation, and that email had completely disappeared. It was like a Mandela effect. Not only had the scripture been changed, but the evidence was gone. All right. So I was pretty upset about this, I'll tell you, because it's like, we live in a society where men, a lot of them don't know how to love their wives. Women don't know how to be supportive of their husbands too. There's problem. We live in a mess. Okay, it's a mess. But a man was, according to what I remember the scriptures being, the man was supposed to love the wife and she would submit. Okay, but that's not this reality that we live in. I don't know what happened. Jumped timelines in an alternate universe. I don't know where the heck I am, lost in space and time. Okay, so but. This gave me an opportunity to go back to the original Hebrew and to examine it, and to do another edit of that particular passage. Okay? And God and I, we have a deal. I'm not allowed to just change the Bible willy-nilly, like, ooh, that's what I want to do. No, it has to, whatever my interpretation is, it has to be in alignment with the Hebrew scriptures. And so, because that new passage didn't really resonate with me as being truthful, I decided a couple of days ago to go back and look at the Hebrew text and really examine it, get my little Rubik's Cube. How can I make this make sense that is truthful to what I know to be true? Okay? And so I looked at it. Now, God said that the seed was the woman's seed, not Adam's. Okay? And we know that mitochondrial DNA passes down the family line through the women. All right. Now, and that's why if you follow the family line, the female family line all the way up, you can take it all the way back to Eve. All right. Now, there's something similar with men. Okay, they have the Y chromosome, and it also follows a line from father to father, father to son, father to son. Okay, but here's the thing on that: the Y chromosome has been evolving. All right, it is changing. They've got records of this. This is science, and so the stronger gene is actually the mitochondrial gene. And God said it was the seed of the woman. Now, I'm not trying to butt heads with anyone. I'm looking at the science of this, okay? And so the future of humanity is really feminine. The masculine energy has dominated Judaism, Christianity. Now we're entering the third era, the season of oil, the season of the Holy Spirit, which is feminine. Okay, and this is being shown in science. All right. So, I decided knowing this, I decided to look at that and make it make sense. And here is the passage, because this is an example. It's a template of how we're supposed to live our life. What happened in the Garden of Eden is a template. Okay, and so. Yes, a woman should have desire for her husband. She should. I can agree with that. I don't want to marry some guy I don't desire. All right? I just don't want to. But what I altered, and it fits in alignment with the Hebrew script, but it's also true, is that where it says under that her husband will reign over her, that doesn't ring true with me, because I know that a healthy relationship, I've looked at that kind of relationship. I've lived through it. I've looked at it, how it's worked out over the thousands of years, and it doesn't ring true to me that is paradise for both people involved. It might be paradise for the man, all right, but it's not paradise for both people involved in that relationship. So it doesn't ring true to me. So I looked at the word where it says above you or over you, okay, over Eve. And it actually, the preposition that is used there can be many words. It can be above, it can be in, it can be with, it can be beside, okay? And so, like Eve, who altered reality by changing, using a word that wasn't exactly like what God said, and kind of forcing God to change things a little bit. Instead of Adam dying within the 24-hour period, he was allowed to live for almost 1,000 years. Okay, so it was Eve and her influence that kind of did that. And I currently do not like the reality we live in. Okay, where men don't love their wives. And so I am going to interpret that passage differently than what men did 500 years ago, because their interpretation was a very misogynistic point of view. In fact, the people that interpreted the Bible during the Reformation period, they removed a lot of the female scriptures. They did not include them. The book of Judith, the book of Suzanne, okay? They almost didn't include the book of Esther. And so the male influence on the interpretation has really oppressed women over the last several hundred years. And so I am going to reinterpret that to be a little bit more accurate and a little bit more true, because paradise is not a relationship where a man rules over his spouse, but one where they both have desire for one another and where they reign together. Okay? And so, anyway, after this, Adam is told that he has to plow the ground and all that stuff. Okay, so, and then God kicks them, he talks with the other higher beings, all right? And he says that now that Adam and Eve have eaten of the forbidden fruit, from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, now they are able to eat of the tree of life, all right, and live forever. Okay, so a lot of people think that this is a curse, but the snake had it right. He said, if you eat of this and your eye is open, your third eye, okay, then you could live forever and be like God, okay? That is closer to the truth than the dying. And God even confirms it. Now they can be like us. He actually confirms it. Okay, this isn't punishment. This is just the truth. And so he kicks them out of the garden. Now, why did he kick them out of the garden? Was it so that they didn't eat of the tree? They could already be like gods. Why did he prevent them from eating of the tree of life? Well, it's because they had guilt and shame. All right? Remember, they recognized that they were naked and they felt ashamed. They knew that they had done wrong. They felt ashamed. We're talking about psychology here. So when a person feels shame, then it takes them out of their paradise. If a man sneaks around and cheats on his wife, for instance, he will feel shame and sabotage that relationship. All right? So the paradise of the two being together is destroyed because of shame. And likewise with the woman, okay? So guilt and shame is not good. It will kick you out of paradise. We're looking at the symbolism of all this, okay? Later on in the Bible, when God feeds the manna to his children who are in the wilderness period, right? When he does that, he teaches them ways of not to live in shame. Okay? Now back then, it was, if you had guilt and shame and stuff like that, then you could sacrifice. It was symbolic of something. That was Judaism. Then, during Christianity, guilt and shame was atoned for by the blood of Jesus. But now, so first we were children getting our rules from God on how not to live with guilt and shame and what to do if we have it. Then we are treated like adolescents, where we get that get out of jail free card. You ever give your kid keys to your car, they do something stupid, then they're in jail, and then you got to go get them out. Okay, so adolescence, all right? Then humanity went through that stage, but now we're being treated as adults, where we have full understanding of our actions, and we are expected to make good decisions, okay, like adults. Decisions that prevent guilt and shame, not ignore it, not avoid it, not pretend it doesn't exist, live in a sinful lifestyle and just pretending that it doesn't exist. No, that doesn't get you into the higher realms of heaven. That just causes you to continue in those karmic cycles. Okay. Anyway, yes, humanity is ascending, and we are expected to be treated like adults. We are going to be treated like adults, where we're expected to behave like adults and learn our lessons so that we can ascend and go to true enlightenment. Okay? And your life will definitely change once you go through this process. Now, I don't have a partner, but years ago, I have many supernatural experiences. And years ago, I had a vision where I was in the Garden of Eden, and I saw the clay figure of a man. And like Adam was created from the Adama, okay, the earth. I saw a clay figure of a man, and he was being formed. He wasn't fully formed. I felt the essence of Jesus in this man, but he wasn't fully formed. And so this was God's way of letting me know that somewhere out there, he has a special somebody for me who will have the essence of Jesus, who will, but right now he's being molded. Okay? God's molding him for me. And so I do have high hopes that someday, somewhere out there, this guy is going to come into my life. All right? So, yes, I have links. God has linked me to the Garden of Eden. I have lived in my dreams and in real life. I have lived many, many, many lives, and I have many, many, many identities, okay, as a divine feminine, all right, who God has commissioned to help usher in the new era, okay. He would not have someone without knowledge and wisdom and understanding do this job assignment that I have. Okay, and it's been a challenge, right? But I've gained so much knowledge and wisdom over the years, interacting with different people, and going through my own ascension process, and now I can share it with you. Now I can share the deep hidden mysteries of the scriptures with you, okay? Because we are evolving. We no longer look at the scriptures just at their surface level. We're able to look beyond, all right? And see its deep hidden meanings. Because we have matured to a level where we can handle it. So after Adam and Eve were expelled from the garden, God put a fiery, whirling, twirling sword to guard the way into the Garden of Eden. Okay? Now that fiery, whirling, twirling sword is actually the Holy Spirit. It symbolizes within our body, it symbolizes our spine, that's the sword, and the energies that whirl and twirl going up that sword. Okay? My Bible project, or my Bible interpretation, I call Choreb Beruach, sword of the Spirit. All right? And my Bible is protecting the way back to the Garden of Eden. Okay? And I am teaching that way to you. So after doing this edit in this particular passage, I went ahead and uploaded a new Genesis for free download. Okay? And also, I've been very busy. I also have Exodus available and Leviticus. So you can get Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus, all three of them for free downloads. There's a link down in the description box. Okay, So I think I'm done for the day. I am Wendy, and we're all living in the winds of change.